It is daunting to transition from school to the workforce. Youths are looking for jobs that are meaningful to them and give them work-life balance, as they should. However, it does not help when phrases like global disruptions and economic uncertainties are often heard. Add to those the growing presence of AI, youths entering the workforce are feeling a little anxious. So what do they need to do to better prepare themselves? Welcome to a special edition of Friendly Fire, where today I have with me the Deputy Secretary General of NTUC, Mr. Desmond Choo.
Hi, thanks for having me on the show. I also look into the youth portfolio. It has been quite some time, not so young now, but still something very core and passionate about over the years. Then of course I spend the other half of my time with Ministry of Defence and of course still representing Tampines Changkat SMC. So been working on the youth portfolio for quite a few years, seen some of the youth grow up, seen the same issues persist, also seen new issues that our younger people are grappling with.
And this is great because Friendly Fire is usually a place where youths come together to talk about stuff in real life. So today's topic is the concerns young people have before entering the workforce. Now, you've worked on the youth portfolio before. What are some of the concerns youth have before they go into work, like fresh graduates or those fresh out of poly?
I think there are really two types, I think the first one is our younger people do feel anxious because they hear from the seniors, they experience it themselves, that they are taking longer to land their first job, taking longer for them to land the first job of their dreams and aspirations. So there is something that's weighing on them. I think the second one also is, after I land my first job, can I do well in it? Can I cope? What should I do? So the first one, I do see that younger people are getting more anxious. The second one has always been there, but something that can be worked on.
Oh, but the first one where they take a while to find their first job, I felt that. Like, I've been in this industry for about 3 years, but before that, it took me months to find my first job because I didn't know what I wanted. So that part is on me. But there's also, once I finally found something, I felt that I was doing it because I needed to get a job. So what do you think are the main factors that are causing this anxiety? Am I underprepared? Are people underprepared?
I think the anxiety is real for sure. And people do feel it. You will hear stories about people sending up 100 CVs and they don't get an invitation for interview. They might go for quite a few interviews and they don't land something. And there are a couple of things at play here. I think first one is there are a lot more people starting the job search a lot earlier. So post-COVID, or even during COVID, getting a job was quite quick, Every company was over-hiring, they're preparing for a different growth trajectory. So budget was there, people are over-hire. So it's quite easy to get jobs. But nowadays, a couple of things happening. So for those who are graduating, they're starting earlier. For those who have yet to graduate, they're also starting to send out their CVs. So nowadays you don't hear too many grad trips anymore. Grad trips used to be a big thing,
Yeah.
Everybody say, I'm going to be away for 6 months, going to be away for 3 months time. Nowadays you hardly hear that because people are taking it that I really got to start early if I want to learn something. So that adds to the numbers. So there are more people now in other years whereby they've taken on some time to go into the job search, have all started looking earlier. And the second effect is that companies now, after a period of overhiring, the impact of AI, automation, are starting to relook at their manpower plans and say, do I really need so many entry-level people around? So meaning that they're taking their time to consider whether I need to have so many people. So if you couple the two effects, more people entering the job search, maybe fewer entry-level jobs created, greater demands, that means that you will just take longer to land your first desired job. And that has causing some anxiety, not only just amongst the young people, the parents too, because they do feel it and they do want their kids to get jobs quickly.
So, and I do see this effect where the younger generation is trying to start early in the sense of building their portfolio. So I have like a couple of 18-year-old students that were my trainees for a bit, and one of them kept talking about like, oh, I need to update my LinkedIn, I need to make sure my portfolio is patterned. It's like at 18, he's thinking about his LinkedIn. It's like, I didn't even start my LinkedIn till I just left university because I didn't know how, like LinkedIn at that time was a bit newer at that time. But now it's all like, oh, I gotta farm my LinkedIn, gotta grow it. So it's like concerning for me that as a youth, you can't really enjoy your youth anymore. You're kind of forced into the working world as soon as you graduate. So it's like you said, no more grad trips. It's like you don't have a break. Your summer breaks in school are just forced into internships after internships. And now that there's this chance that your entry-level job might be replaced by AI, how do you assure students, or like what tips do you have to give the youth on how to, you know, it's okay, you still can get a job, but these are the things you might need to consider to do?
I think first we have to recognize that the anxiety is real and it's not unfounded. But one thing that we all need to maybe appreciate a bit more is that our younger people, this generation, and I'm quite sure for future generations to come, are way more equipped for the workforce than they ever been, compared to say people my generation or even that generation after me or couple of generations after me. They are better educated, they're better trained, they have access to more digital resources than we ever had. They have opportunities at different type of jobs that we have never even heard of during our time. But because there are now so many choices, the better jobs are also going to be ultra competitive. So our younger people now feel a sense that I need to up my game and I just need to keep upping my game. So you hear things about internship stacking. You know, they're stacking internships, attachments after that. And I think up to a certain point, that may not be entirely healthy. Because what you really want is purposeful internship and attachments that leads you to a career that you want to develop over a long period of time. So instead of stacking all these internships, really, you should explore first. I think it's okay to try different areas before deciding where you think you want to land on, and then focus on the industry, be purposeful about the learning. And sometimes it's not the fault of our younger people. Our companies also must change. The way we do our internship, our attachments, how can we help them to learn quickly but purposefully so that they are a lot more work ready. So, and if you look at our numbers, we are at a period whereby we are one of the lowest unemployment rates ever. We're near full employment. Compared to our youth unemployment globally, Singapore is very, very healthy. In fact, one of the very best. But at the same time, we know that anxiety is building up. I think we can do something to take away some of that stress level. I think one is really to reassure younger people that the good jobs are there. Our investment numbers continue to be very healthy. But we've got to be mindful. With every dollar investment, now we create fewer jobs. But I think if we connect the school to work nexus a lot better by getting our companies to influence greater how curriculum are being developed, certifying certain industry skills, we can get our younger people to be better prepared and therefore to get less stressed out. So programs like work study, I think those work tremendously well. I've also heard about younger people nailing jobs during their internship and attachment. That takes away some stress from the system. But to all our younger people there, you are the best that we have produced. That the golden generation, we like to say it's a few generations ago. No, the golden generation is yet to be.
That's interesting. It sounds like quite hopeful. But do you think that we would be able to change how companies view fresh graduates coming in? Because I remember looking, I mean this is about 3 years ago, but I do remember like they always ask for a couple of years of experience for a first time entry level job, which then makes me feel that I am fresh grad, but I'm still way behind my peers because they probably had a few more experience, they have more experience than I did. Or the fact that there's this need to have not just experience, but they're just making it a bit harder to enter the workforce because they have such high expectations for us. Do you think that there's some other mindsets that need to change, not amongst youth, but the companies? Companies need to shift something fundamentally so that youth are more welcome into the workforce.
For sure. I think that for our both companies and the younger people, it is going through a process of adaptation and understanding what this new AI environment means. I mean, you are 3 years into the workforce, or maybe slightly longer. The demands on the younger people coming to the workforce with AI is quite different. You used to be able to, really do the grunt work, prepare for the meetings, doing the pitches, preparing the pitching deck. That was your training ground. You learned, you work, all at the same time. But in the first few years, you're not producing a full economic value. But the companies are paying a bit forward. Okay, I need this person in 3 years' time, and therefore I'm prepared to invest a bit. But AI changed the game quite a fair bit. Because now, you'll be able to do the same pitch deck, the same marketing pitch, the same meeting preparation in 10% of the time or less, simply because of AI tools. So the training ground is, in a way, also disappearing. For certain sectors faster than others. What this means is the demands for younger people entering the workforce is going to change. From just being the guy doing the grunt work, now you almost need to be like a semi-senior. Senior in a job that you must have been there for 2-3 years, you know what to do. So there's some expectations of that. Companies are also feeling that, okay, now with all these new tools, what do I need my younger people to do? Because they're also very well aware that if I don't have my younger people, the entry-level guys, I cannot have my middle management in 5-8 years' time. Because you need them to learn the ropes. But now the nature of that training ground, the ropes learning have changed. So both sides are grappling now. Companies trying to figure out what should my junior guys be doing so that they can get into the middle management. Our younger people now with more tools at hand now need to show that, okay, I need to prove myself differently. And I think that in that space, there are a couple of things that we can and we must do. That it will take away some of the previous function that you're doing. But I think you should also be excited that it's going to unleash new powers that you previously wouldn't have. The time that you used to, say, draft an article, you can do it with all the typos cleaned up in maybe a fraction of the time. A lot more time can be spent hunting for new stories, bring that human touch, making connections on the ground that previously you wouldn't have time for. So that the nature of the job will change. So take away the routine, more mundane stuff. Go higher up in the echelon in terms of creativity. I think that's where the job's going to get a lot more exciting. So there will be winners and there will be losers. And I think that the winners are those that are able to get AI to work for them to enhance their skill set. But I think those who will lose out will purely think about it in terms of how can I get AI just to do my job, to replace certain function. Those won't last very long because AI is also improving very quickly. Would it take the human out? My own personal thinking is no, because that's not how human societies are configured. We have gone through many cycles of this. Definitely before your time, where even before I was the typewriter age. And when computers came about, it took away a whole generation of people doing typing. Typist was a full-time job. There were worries back then, but we managed to shift them into higher level jobs. We retrained them. When the internet came about, it took a while before the real productivity comes about. So would there be impact? Yes. But can we overcome this? Absolutely.
You mentioned earlier about all these modules gives you a sense of confidence. Like you know that you're sure in yourself. And I realized that I think confidence is such a big thing. Like coming into the workforce, I wasn't confident in my skills. I was just like, I'm so grateful I learned the job, but now, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm doing. Am I doing things right? And there's like this lack of confidence in my abilities, even though I know I can do it. So why do you think the Singaporean youth heading into the workforce lacks their confidence in themselves? And how can we make them more confident beyond just modules? Like, is it just you're worrying too much? You can get a job? Or is it just you guys just have to believe in yourself?
Well, as a person still learning on the job and also an employer, I think I can quite safely say our younger people are better than what they think they are. And they are usually more prepared than they think they are. So, but maybe it's something that is that good and maybe not so good thing about our society. We have that thirst to not accept that we are there yet, that we are thirsty to learn more. So therefore, there's always this certain humility that we have in us, Singaporean kids. And therefore, we always feel that there's always something more I can do better, I can do more of, which is a good thing. But never go to the extent whereby you feel that you're not ready, you're not good enough. You are good enough, and what you should be excited about is that room to grow. If you ever feel that you go into a job and you're 100% ready, then that's perhaps not the job for you because there's no more room to grow. You want to go to a job whereby you're like 50, 80% there, and there's room for you to grow and there's progress, and you will struggle. But the struggle is going to help you to get better. But don't lose confidence because we have one of the most best prepared young workforces anywhere in the world. Our investment per young Singaporean is probably one of the highest, if not the highest in the world.
Do you think that youths are then rushing into the jobs? Because like with terms such as global disruptions, economic uncertainty, and like higher cost of living, do you think that they are rushing to get a job so that they can survive and live, and then kind of not neglecting but forgetting the fact that sometimes a job there's more than a job out there?
I think those are very real. I think quite interestingly, one of the things that we always ask about is like, will I be ready for my retirement? From young people. So then you look at it and say, okay, that is not entirely unthinkable, Why would people ask that question? But firstly, they recognize one thing is that for every young person who comes out to work now, you have a minimum of 45 to 50 years of work. It's half a century. Because by the time they come to retirement, I don't know what will happen to our retirement age. Maybe we will extend it much further, right? Or maybe we do without retirement age. I think it's very hard for younger people at this stage to think, okay, I will be ready for retirement when I'm in my 60s. Because they see that things are getting more expensive, can I afford this? They also missed out on the fact that our wages are also climbing very quickly. Singapore today, it is the most expensive place to operate anywhere in Asia. Our wages are the highest in Asia already. So it's very hard for people to think that way, but you're very right. Are people rushing into the job? In a way they are, but it also reflects that drive. I want to be useful. I want to do justice to what I've learned. And that's something we must encourage. We must never say that, hey, take your time. Because go, explore, the faster you do it, I think the better is it for the person.
My final question for you is, do you think that youth this anxiety to perform well in the workforce, do you think youths are now becoming overqualified and entering the workforce with numerous master's degrees or bachelor degrees? And then I have a friend who did her master's and now is overqualified to do an entry-level job, but she doesn't have the work experience to do anything higher than an entry-level job. So do you think that youths are coming in too overqualified? Because it really doesn't make sense for us to come in, do the workforce, and then go for our masters, and then come back into the workforce again. Because there's also that little break that you might just start to miss out anything. Like if I'm thinking about it, if I did my masters while this AI thing is going on, and coming back, it's like, am I giving myself a disadvantage?
I think it's also, and sometimes you do feel for like people like your friends. There was an old model. The old model was that you get a degree, you get a certificate, you go as high as you can, and there's almost a linear path to you doing something better. And for quite a lot of industries, it is like that. For example, if you want to do well in academia, research-based work, deep intellectual work, it is still very much the case because you need to spend the time to build that subject knowledge. So in some of these industries, you really need to have that and you need to pursue that. For example, you can't really do higher end, I wouldn't say legal work, but let's say, for example, you want to go into biology, physics and stuff. You need to go into that deeper. But we're also coming to a very interesting era whereby the ability to execute and produce on the job becomes a lot more critical. That the skills rather than the degree is now a lot more value. And that is where I think the transformation must happen. That at the schools level, we almost have to decompose and make it highly industry relevant, but still maintaining, teaching you things that sparks your intellectual curiosity, but at the same time, you need to be industry relevant. So how do I unpack this? It's no good just to study AI now. I think you need to look into how AI complements your work as a recognizable skill. You need to teach the person that. You being qualified in AI doesn't mean that you do well in it. I need to know whether you are able to work with AI, you understand AI ethics, you understand how AI can be wrong in a certain sense. How do you supervise AI? And we're in the middle of that transformation whereby the degree is a marker, but more importantly, what skill sets that you have. We really encourage IHLs to make that transformation, and they're already doing it. And now we're saying that we must shift now. And that transformation, I think, will do us better because it's going to allow people, previously they're not very good at academics, they don't get their formal degrees and stuff, to have a shot at a better job. Because now you're not stopped by the fact that, hey, you don't have a degree, that's it for you. Now you have a lot more opportunities now. In fact, if you look at some of the AI developments, it's not all doom and gloom. There are established studies that shows that it helps people to learn faster. A person 2 months into the job, given the correct AI coaching, performs as well as those 6 months into the job. They are able to climb their learning curve so much faster. And there's this thing called, for example, coding, right? Some people say, hey, last time you go and learn coding, now no need, just use the ChatGPT, Claude AI, they can code for you. So therefore, we don't need coders. It's actually not the case. Because you will bring down the cost of coding, of software development, that now we can implement software development in many, many other areas, whereby last time, it would just have been too costly. So we're entering a new era, a new phase now. And within this churn, my encouragement to people like your friends is, don't be discouraged, because it is what you make of that career break while you do that studies, that besides studying, are you also expanding your network with people in the industry that you want to get into, forging that relationship with your fellow students so that you may want to grow a company together. The guy may recommend you a job because he knows you so much better when they leave. That was what MBAs used to be, right? So much more focus was forged on networking, understanding how to operate in the workplace. So for friends like yours, please do encourage them that it is not wasted, that career break is essential for us to recharge. But I think now we need to readapt our skills and say, okay, hey, besides all the hard skills you're going to pick up from masters, are there the softer skills I need to pick up?
Thank you so much, Desmond, for sharing your insight and your advice, and hopefully it would touch our youth and help them reflect and think about what it's like heading into the workforce. And if you guys have any other advice or questions that you have regarding youth entering the workforce, leave them in the comments below, and we'll see you next time for more Friendly Fire.